Hello everyone, welcome to the Tim Booker channel. I hope you enjoy listening to books. Today, the book I'll be interpreting for you is called, What's Your Problem? It aims to tell us how to solve problems by changing the way we perceive them. For most people, when faced with a problem, the initial reaction is to seek a solution. It's an instinct for most: when there's a problem, take action. However, many might not realize that sometimes, to solve a problem better, we need to redefine it. For instance, imagine you're a property manager for an office building. Some tenants complain frequently about the slow elevator, some even threaten to terminate their leases. Most people in this scenario might think, the elevator is too slow, how can we speed it up? Upgrade the motor, improve the algorithm, or simply replace it with a new one. But from a different perspective, the issue isn't just about the elevator's speed, it's about people finding the time spent in the elevator agonizing. So, the key to solving the problem is to make the wait less agonizing. For example, a department manager proposed an unexpected solution: installing a mirror inside the elevator. This seemed unrelated to the speed, yet the result was that when people became distracted by the mirror, they didn't find the elevator wait as agonizing. This case illustrates the core idea of this book. Sometimes, the most effective way to solve a problem isn't to address the immediate issue but to reframe the problem. By reframing it, we can precisely pinpoint the problem's essence and find innovative solutions. The author of this book, Thomas Wedel-Wettelsborg, is recognized in the industry as an innovation and problem-solving expert. He has shared and refined his problem reframing methods with clients like Cisco, Microsoft, and Citigroup. His research has been published in publications like the Harvard Business Review, Bloomberg Businessweek, and the Financial Times. He's been named one of the top 20 international thinkers by HR Magazine. In this book, leveraging his extensive professional background and practical experience, the author uses numerous stories and examples to demonstrate how to redefine problems through 3 steps and find solutions. The book emphasizes the mindset and perspective of reframing problems, providing readers with unexpected empowerment. No wonder Eric Schmidt, former CEO of Google, highly praised it. If you want the superpower of solving better problems, read this book. Next, I'll break down the book into 3 parts for you. 1. How to establish a framework for analyzing problems. 2. How to reframe problems. 3. How to overcome resistance in reframing problems. As the author states in the book, every household has its tough problems, and reframing is the shortcut to solving them. I hope today's interpretation helps you learn the approach and methods of reframing problems, enhancing your problem-solving abilities. Part 1. Let's start by examining how to establish a framework for analyzing and dealing with a problem. Generally, handling a problem involves 3 steps. First is framing, understanding the boundaries of the problem and staying on track. Second is analyzing, attempting to quantify the problem, grasping more details. Third is solving, based on the analysis, generating potential solutions and making choices. In other words, to solve a problem, you need to identify it, uncover its causes, and then find ways to resolve it. These 3 steps are indispensable and may require multiple attempts until the problem is resolved. However, in this book, the author emphasizes the importance of reframing problems, highlighting its distinction from traditional thinking and its potential to yield new solutions. Take the elevator example mentioned earlier. The core issue might seem to be the slow elevator, solved simply by purchasing a new one. However, it's crucial to note this isn't the only way to resolve the problem. Since there are various triggers for a problem, there isn't just one solution. As mentioned earlier, installing mirrors in the elevator to divert people's attention is one solution. Additionally, the slow elevator could be due to peak hours, with too many people using it simultaneously. This issue can be addressed by staggering work hours, reducing the number of people using the elevator at one time. Hence, reframing differs from problem analysis. Analysis involves precision, methodical approaches, attention to detail, and data utilization. For instance, concerning the slow elevator, we need to trace various factors affecting its speed. Is it due to aging motors, outdated algorithms, or outdated equipment? If we decide to replace the elevator, considerations involve which elevator manufacturers are available and which offer the best value for their products, and so on. In contrast, reframing is a higher-level thinking activity. It doesn't delve into details from first impressions but considers problems from a broader perspective or alternative angles. For instance, when someone complains about the elevator being slow, shifting the focus from the elevator's speed to people's experiences while waiting can yield different solutions. Certainly, reframing isn't limited to the start of a problem, nor is it detached from problem analysis. As the author mentions in the book, there are two ways to find new angles for problems. One is exploring the frame, diving deeper into the details of the initial framework to reframe the problem. The other is breaking the frame, departing from the initial framework, using an entirely different perspective to redefine the problem. This approach can lead to new and more effective solutions. There's a case in the book that illustrates this. In the United States, over 40% of households own dogs. However, behind this statistic lies a challenge: over 3 million dogs are sent to shelters each year, waiting for adoption. Despite the shelter's efforts to depict the dogs' pitiable situations, encouraging people to adopt dogs and save lives, many dogs still remain unadopted. Later, two companies devised new methods. One, called Roadblocks, sells dog products. They realized that many people wanted to adopt dogs but didn't know where suitable ones were available. Shelter promotions primarily relied on the internet, yet their websites weren't engaging or attracting attention. They pondered, what if there was a way for more people to know about these adoptable dogs? Thus, they created a mobile app called Bark Buddy. Similar to a dating app, it allowed people to view photos and information about nearby adoptable dogs. The catchy slogan was, "Find your furry friend nearby." Consequently, the app became a hit, with over 250,000 downloads, a monthly view count of 1 million, and even appearances on TV talk shows. Despite an investment of only $8,000, its returns far exceeded expectations. This demonstrates the power of reframing, looking at a problem from a different perspective to find better solutions. Here, reframing originated from exploring the frame, delving deeper into the initial problem. It's akin to problem analysis but focuses on overlooked points that might trigger differences. Initially, everyone thought the problem with stray dogs was a lack of adopters, but Roadblocks discovered, upon deeper research, the hidden issue: inadequate information flow. Reframing this point led to a swift resolution of the problem. Another case in the book, related to stray dogs, involves Lori, who leads a dog rescue organization in the United States. She had a new idea: prevent dogs from being sent to shelters. Because she knew many people sent their dogs to shelters not out of lack of love but due to financial difficulties. For instance, some faced demands for pet deposits when moving houses, or their dogs needed costly medical treatments they couldn't afford. Hence, they thought sending the dog to a shelter might find them a better owner. Lori thought, if she could solve these people's financial issues, they wouldn't abandon their dogs. In one shelter experiment, whenever someone brought a dog, she asked, "Do you really want to separate from your dog?" If they expressed reluctance, she inquired, "Then why are you giving it away?" Subsequently, she used her own money and connections to assist them, like paying their rental deposits or connecting them with veterinarians. The experiment was successful. 75% of people kept their dogs and were deeply grateful to Lori. Furthermore, this method saved money. Previously, adopting a dog cost an average of $85, while using Lori's new approach only cost $60 on average. This way, many families and pets stayed happily together, alleviating shelter pressures and providing space and resources for other animals in need. Lori's approach, known as the Shelter Intervention Program, is now being implemented nationwide in the United States. Thanks to this program and other measures, there's been a significant decrease in shelter intake and euthanasia rates for pets. Compared to the previous case, Lori's approach shattered the old framework for looking at the problem. She discovered that the primary reason dogs were sent to shelters wasn't due to owners lacking compassion but due to their financial struggles. Her solution wasn't to increase adoptions but to prevent dogs from being abandoned by their original owners. This new solution triggered a transformation in the entire industry. In conclusion, whether exploring or breaking frames, the prerequisite for reframing problems is believing that most problems have multiple causes, therefore presenting multiple viable solutions. Otherwise, we might confine ourselves to old mental frameworks, overlooking more innovative solutions. By exploring or breaking the frame of a problem, we might reframe it and discover more efficient solutions. Part 2. So, how do we go about reframing problems when seeking new solutions? In this book, the author summarizes 5 strategies for problem reframing, with 3 being particularly significant: thinking outside the box, rethinking objectives, and carefully examining bright spots. Let's look at them one by one. Thinking outside the box means not getting lost in surface-level details but considering what might be missing in the current problem statement. This missing element might be a hidden influence or an inconspicuous factor. There's a case in the book about Ashley and Jonathan, 2 entrepreneurs who opened a sand volleyball club in Brooklyn, New York, attracting many trendy people to play. They faced a dilemma: whether to sell food at their club. Selling food would entail various hassles like hygiene checks and hiring cooks, which seemed labor-intensive. Not selling food would prompt customers to leave when hungry, affecting alcohol sales and revenue, a common predicament for many businesses. Was there a third option? Ashley brainstormed and eventually devised a novel approach, placing a food truck next to the club, an unconventional move in their setting. Food trucks are prevalent in New York, offering various cuisines. This way, Ashley wouldn't need food permits or hired cooks. Moreover, she could rotate different food trucks based on time and seasons. This approach gained popularity. Customers loved the food truck offerings and stayed longer, consuming more drinks at the club. The food truck owners were happy due to the steady customer flow. Ashley and Jonathan earned substantial profits and even opened a second sand volleyball club in Chicago. In this case, the entrepreneurs broke away from conventional thinking, identifying external factors overlooked by others and finding a new solution to their problem. Furthermore, the author emphasizes that many can find problems within their professional domains, always applying familiar methods, akin to having a hammer and seeing everything as a nail. This approach is myopic and narrow. Reframing problems demands breaking away from habitual thinking patterns, sometimes necessitating putting down the hammer and stepping out of one's expertise. The second strategy for problem reframing involves rethinking objectives, questioning whether the pursued objectives are correct and if there are higher goals worth achieving or alternate ways to achieve them. This pathway is essential for fundamental breakthroughs. There's a case in the book about Matteo, a new head of a company's review team responsible for managing the company's database. He faced the challenge of reducing the time taken to process data change requests from 2 weeks to 1. This target was set by his predecessor, believing it would enhance the team's efficiency. However, Matteo wasn't content with this goal. He proposed a higher one. He said, "We shouldn't just focus on our team's speed but on the speed of database changes. Why should we handle all requests ourselves? Some requests are simple and safe, and other departments can handle them." Subsequently, Matteo initiated his new plan. His team analyzed all request types and found that 80% could directly access the database for changes without review. His team trained personnel from other departments on database operations. Although this process was time-consuming, it yielded excellent results. Several months later, 80% of the requests were autonomously handled by various departments, and the remaining requests were swiftly processed. Not only did the team meet the 1-week target, but they were even faster than before. This case illustrates the importance of re-evaluating objectives. Questioning objectives sometimes leads to finding pathways to better outcomes. There are 5 aspects to rethinking objectives, including clarifying higher-level goals, challenging obvious objectives, finding alternative methods to achieve goals, and more. These reflections help reconstruct the structure and path toward goals, unveiling new solutions. The third strategy for problem reframing involves carefully examining bright spots. It means seeking situations where problems aren't as severe or don't exist at all. Focusing on positive exceptions gives us a new perspective on problems and might even generate new ways to solve them. There's a story in the book about Tanya and Brian, a loving couple who often argued about trivial matters like cleaning, spending money, or taking care of their dog. They felt their conflicts were escalating and wanted to find the root cause. They started analyzing what they said during arguments and considered whether their values differed. They thought this approach would uncover the problem's origin, as many believe personal issues relate to childhood or beliefs. However, this analytical method didn't help resolve their problem. What proved useful was their analysis of positive exceptions. Tanya said, "One day, while having breakfast and discussing our budget, everything went smoothly, but if we talked about it at night, it would be uncomfortable, and we'd easily get into a fight. We wondered why. Eventually, we found that most of our arguments occurred after 10 p.m. We weren't fighting because of differing values but because we were tired or hungry. So, they established a 10 p.m. rule, no serious or complex discussions after 10 p.m. If one started an argument, the other simply said 10 p.m. to halt it. This simple rule helped them avoid many unnecessary conflicts and has maintained their happy marriage for nearly a decade. This story confirms a key aspect of the book: there's more than one way to solve problems. For instance, if Tanya and Brian had chosen couples counseling, they might have found a solution. However, by redirecting their attention to bright spots within their problem, the issue was resolved. The essence of the bright spot strategy is not just focusing on the negatives but also identifying positives. People tend to be naturally drawn to negativity and overlook positives, missing many opportunities and solutions. To change this mindset, shift focus to the bright spots, valuable, effective, replicable aspects. This way, new pathways can be discovered. Thus far, we've covered several crucial strategies for problem reframing, including thinking outside the box, rethinking objectives, and carefully examining bright spots. Additionally, the book mentions the importance of self-reflection in the mirror, understanding oneself from an external perspective, and considering problems from others' viewpoints, standing in each stakeholder's shoes. These are important approaches for problem reframing. However, handling real-world problems can become complex, and the reframing process may face challenges like resistance from others regarding problem reframing or lack of knowledge about the problem's causes. Be mentally prepared for this and consider multiple ways to address them. Part 3, now, let's delve into overcoming the resistance to problem reframing and propelling smooth solutions to problems. Regarding this, the book mentions 3 common obstacles. First, when faced with numerous problem frameworks, how to select the most worthy ones to focus on. Second, when clueless initially, how to find the root cause of a problem. Third, when encountering resistance to reframing from others, how to overcome biases. Let's address them one by one. Let's first consider selecting the most worthwhile problem frameworks. The author presents 3 useful rules, frameworks that are particularly surprising, unusually simple, or significant and verifiable are the ones worth our attention. For instance, Brazilian President Lula once launched a family allowance program that garnered global attention. He shifted the approach to poverty alleviation from service provision to directly providing cash to impoverished families, allowing them to decide how to use it. This method not only was easy to implement but also reduced costs by 30%. Despite criticism suggesting the poor might squander the money, Lula, having grown up in poverty, knew this was a misconception. He believed that the poor, especially mothers from impoverished families, would spend every penny cautiously. And he was right. Under this program and other policies, Brazil saw a 50% reduction in extreme poverty, lifting 36 million people out of poverty. This approach also offered a new perspective globally on addressing wealth disparities. See how transforming the diverse measures of poverty relief into direct cash assistance might be surprisingly simple and unexpected. But when placed within a verifiable problem framework, it becomes an effective policy. Remember, the surprise factor in a proposal challenges established thinking paradigms. Prioritizing simpler problem frameworks aligns with Occam's razor: simpler is better. Coupled with the principle of significance and verifiability, it forms the golden triangle for selecting problem frameworks. Now, let's explore finding the root cause of a problem. Suppose you're dealing with a problem, but initial analysis, including problem reframing, provides no clues. What do? The author offers 2 methods for investigating the problem's causes: discovery-oriented dialogues and learning experiments. Let's focus on seeking clues while carrying the problem. There's a case in the book about 2 entrepreneurs, Mark and Scott, who established a condiment company specializing in ketchup, mustard, and mayonnaise. Their products were delicious, healthy, and all natural, thus highly popular. However, there was an issue: ketchup sales consistently lagged. They couldn't understand why, since customers praised the taste. They pondered and thought it might be the bottle's problem. Initially, they used square glass bottles to appear upscale, effective for other products but not for ketchup. Mark and Scott debated whether to change the bottles. This wasn't a trivial matter. Altering bottles would impact entire production and operations. If changing the bottles didn't work, reverting would take a year. They needed to pinpoint the problem precisely. What would a large corporation do? They might conduct market research, convene discussion groups, or invest heavily in experts to analyze consumer behavior. But Mark and Scott didn't do any of that. They simply chatted with people around them: customers, investors, and friends. Once, an investor said, "I love your ketchup, it's in my fridge." Mark and Scott were surprised. This person received samples months ago. Why weren't they finished yet? The answer lay in the fridge. Mark discovered that people habitually placed mustard and mayonnaise prominently in the fridge but stuck ketchup on the fridge door. If there were no transparent barrier on the fridge door, the square ketchup bottle was invisible. If people couldn't see the bottle, they wouldn't use it. After uncovering this secret, Mark and Scott switched to taller bottles for ketchup. The result? A 50% increase in sales upon launch. This story shows that sometimes, clues to problems lie within simple conversations. If you search diligently, you can find crucial information. Of course, if dialogue doesn't yield clues about the problem's essence, you can attempt learning experiments, deliberately doing things differently to disrupt old perceptions and acquire new knowledge. The third obstacle to problem reframing is silo thinking, stemming from professional or status-based biases. Overcoming silo thinking crucially involves listening to external perspectives. Let's look at a case. Graham was a new leader of a European small company and found the employees lacked innovation. The management contemplated implementing an innovation training program, assuming it would solve the issue. However, during a senior management meeting, his assistant Charlotte exclaimed, "I've been here for 12 years, and in that time, 3 different management teams attempted innovation plans, all failed. This attempt, whether named an innovation training program or any other trendy label, won't work." Charlotte's words alerted Graham, prompting the management team to reconsider the company's problem. They realized their mistake: the employees weren't incapable of innovation but lacked motivation. They didn't care about the company and didn't want to do more. It wasn't a skill issue but an involvement issue. Graham's team changed strategy, focusing less on training and more on increasing employee involvement. They granted more freedom and transparency to employees, involving them in the decision-making process, expressing care and trust. The results were evident afterward. Employee satisfaction doubled, and the turnover rate significantly decreased. Employees became more proactive, and the company's financial situation improved. 4 years later, the company received the National Best Workplace Award. In this story, Charlotte wasn't part of the management team, she was only attending the meeting. Had Graham not invited her, the management team might have implemented the innovation training, repeating the failures of the previous 3 teams. This illustrates the importance of external opinions sometimes in breaking silo thinking and finding the true crux of a problem. Certainly, silo thinking isn't entirely negative. In certain contexts, deep expertise and in-depth analysis are essential. However, excessive specialization in silo thinking may lead to stagnation and decreased innovation. Interdisciplinary learning and thinking often bring new perspectives. Therefore, while delving deeply, don't forget openness. This is crucial for problem reframing and finding new solutions. As we reach this point, the interpretation of this book is nearing its conclusion. Let's summarize. This questioning book serves as a guide to enhancing thinking and decision-making by posing better questions. Its core is about resolving problems by altering how we perceive them, a process known as reframing. In the first part, we stressed the importance of problem reframing. For instance, regarding a slow elevator, traditional thinking might suggest replacing it. However, considering alternatives like installing mirrors or staggering work hours could also solve the issue. We illustrated 2 ways to reframe problems: exploring frameworks by scrutinizing initial details and breaking frameworks by adopting entirely different perspectives, potentially leading to newer, better solutions. In the second part, we introduce strategies for problem reframing. Firstly, stepping outside the frame to consider overlooked factors from a broader angle. Secondly, rethinking goals, challenging and optimizing our set objectives for greater progress. Thirdly, examining highlights, focusing on positive aspects within problems to find solutions. Additionally, the book emphasized mirror-like self-reflection, understanding oneself from an external standpoint. It also emphasized adopting others' perspectives, considering the stance of each stakeholder, an important aspect of problem reframing. In the third part, we explored obstacles to problem reframing and their remedies. One obstacle is choosing the most worthy problem framework when faced with multiple frameworks. Another is finding the cause of a problem when clueless, and the third is overcoming biases when others resist reframing. Corresponding remedies involve selecting noteworthy problem frameworks based on specific criteria or delving deeper into the true causes through dialogues and practices with others. It's essential to listen to external opinions, transcend disciplines and fields, and avoid being limited by fixed thinking patterns. Apart from these, the original book also delves into preparing for problem reframing, validating our design solutions, among other topics. The book features many fascinating cases, but due to limitations here, it's recommended that interested individuals read the original book. Finally, I'd like to conclude today's sharing with a quote from the author: "From pain points to problems and then to bad solutions, this process brings us much pain and resource wastage. The solution isn't in analyzing our beloved theories more meticulously or pretending to view problems objectively. Instead, it's about presenting different viewpoints from the outset, avoiding obsession with a specific idea, and remembering that almost all problems have more than one solution." To me, this represents a valuable mindset. It not only attempts to offer better methods of problem solving but also encourages readers to actively explore various possibilities with an open mind and to always stay curious. These values and abilities are crucial for modern individuals. Well, that concludes the interpretation of this book. Congratulations on completing another book. Thank you all for your support and attention. Please subscribe to the Tim Booker channel, like, and share this valuable knowledge with friends around you. Let's combine wisdom with practice, achieve our financial goals, and create a better future together. Thank you, goodbye.